There are some like ethical issues or concerns I would have when we're discussing like kind of Christian societies versus non-Christian societies, and that's like a whole other topic. But in general, I would say that pregnant women, nursing mothers, mothers of young children should be at home with those children. If you look at the statistics in 1940, only about 6% of American women who had children under 5 worked outside the home. Mm-hmm. Now that number is like 58%. It's like super high. Most little babies and little children's moms spend most of their day at the office. And as a mother, 95% of all the time you'll ever spend with your child is gone by the time they turn 18. You don't ever get those years back. You don't ever get to do that over. You don't ever get that time. So to me, you're taking a precious, finite gift that you have. You're taking this limited time of your life, a short time in your life that you get to spend raising your own children, and you're giving it away to somebody else, some $11, $12 an hour daycare worker, because you think being at the office is more important. And I understand completely that we're brainwashed and propagandized to think that. I was told all the time, from the time I was little, you have to go to college, you have to have a career, you have to have your own money, because if you don't, what? What do they say will happen to you? If you don't have your own money, if you don't have your own job, what's going to happen? You'll get trapped. A man could abuse you. What if he leaves you? What if he dies? What if he cheats? But nobody ever asks, wait, what if I spend all of my years going to college to be a surgeon, right? I want to be a neurosurgeon, like a really important job. I'm shooting for the stars. Nobody ever says, well, wait a second, what if you get in an accident and your arm gets broken and you can't do surgery? Or what if you get arthritis and you can't use the scalpel anymore? Like, what if your eyesight goes bad and you can no longer perform surgery? Nobody fearmongers women about all the things that can go wrong when you base your whole life around your career. They only fearmonger women about what could go wrong if they base their life around being a wife and mother. And I just think you guys probably don't ever get a chance to hear anybody say that to you, so I wanted the chance to say it.
I actually really appreciate hearing a different perspective, and I feel like you're very well knowledge, so it's very interesting what you have to say. So thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that you guys wanted to listen. But if anybody has like an objection or like a counter argument, or you're listening to me and you're like, well, wait a minute, but what about this, Rachel, or what about that? I'm happy to hear it if you have any objections or other thoughts about that.
I think that it is perfectly fine. Like, I agree with your viewpoint. You should be there in your child's formative years. I also think that I want a choice that where maybe I don't know if I see a future with having kids in it, and if I want to be that neurosurgeon, if I want to be an anesthesiologist, whatever, that I can do that without having to worry about someone saying you're wasting all your childbearing years, or you want to be a stay-at-home wife. Like I said again, my mom's a stay-at-home mom. I love her. I think being a stay-at-home mom's amazing, but I also think that a lot of women, their mothers weren't allowed to have the choice to do what they want or be who they wanted because they were raising them. And I think that if they, maybe they don't want kids and they do want to pursue their career goals, that they should be free too.
Okay. So you guys were talking earlier about South Korea and how it has the lowest birth rate on planet Earth right now, which it does. It's like 1.6 child per woman. But did you know that the whole world, except for a handful of African countries and Israel, are well below replacement and have been for a long time? If you guys follow Elon Musk on Twitter, he's probably the most famous person who's talked a lot about the birth rate collapse and what it could mean. And so basically in the year 2024, we've got planet-wide logistics that have pretty much wiped out hunger. The only places where there's still hunger, there's kind of like extenuating circumstances, reasons why that's still a problem. But in all the developed nations, nobody has starved to death in the United States for many decades. It's not a thing. And the reason that's the case is because we had this big population boom during the Industrial Revolution, another baby boom after World War II, and with all of the time and human capital and brilliance of people, problem solving, and just more people in general, we've been able to eradicate a lot of problems we used to have with things like hunger, getting resources where they need to go. If we experience population collapse, which we are, if it keeps going where it's going now, we're going to start having problems, and we're already seeing that. So supply chains, we're already seeing some supply chain failures because there's simply not enough labor. We don't have enough people. It's one of the reasons there's so much illegal immigration. But even the places where those illegal immigrants were coming from, their populations are now well below replacement rates. So we're running out of people to even import. Places like Japan and Canada don't have enough young people to support the elderly populations. There's just not enough young people to, pay into the social security system or work at nursing homes or work in senior health care to take care of the elderly. So again, we can say it's really nice, I want the chance to follow my dream of being a neurosurgeon. And I'm sure there's always going to be some women who do that. But let me ask, how many of the women here have a college degree? Everybody raise your hand if you got a degree. There's, a lot of you. Okay, what's your degree in? Just go around and just tell me real quick what your degree is in.
Start with you.
I have my associates in social and behavioral sciences.
Okay, and next?
Just associates.
Okay, in what? What field?
In like mathematical.
Okay, next. Number 5, you have a...
Psychology, but I don't really intend to use my degree. I just wanted to get it.
Yeah, psychology is probably the most oversaturated and most female field at the moment, so it's tough to get a good paying job. And then next, what's yours?
I'm currently obtaining a BA in Psych and Brain.
Okay, and next?
Health science.
Health sciences. Okay, next?
Poli-sci and econ.
Okay. Are all of you, so one of you said you're not intending to work in the field. Are the rest of you all intending to have careers in the field you're getting a degree in? Okay. And did you probably, most of you said yes. Did you notice that it's usually the same stuff? Like I was saying, it's like healthcare, it's psychology, it's like behavioral stuff. Most of you aren't going to be like structural engineers. Most of you aren't going to be like building life-saving medical devices or, any of those like super essential jobs. Nursing, there's some things you could argue are pretty essential, but men could do those jobs too. So why would it not be smarter to have all of you ladies here, if we had raised you different, if we had raised you to say, being a virtuous woman who is a good mother and a good wife and a good caretaker and a good member of the community, you're doing all the community stuff women used to do, like organizing community functions and church things and programs for kids and just all those support roles that women used to do. Would it be a better world if we were raising all of you girls to do that instead of raising you to start your OnlyFans, go to college, earn a degree? By the way, I bet a lot of you have some college debt. The average woman has like $40,000 in college debt after she graduates. So now you're having to go into your 20s with a whole bunch of debt and a degree that you may or may not be able to find a job in, that you may or may not like the job, right? And you're forgoing all of the childbearing years to chase that stuff. Do you think that that's like a net positive? Do you think that's a smart, like if you were king of the nation or queen of the nation, would that be how you'd want to organize things?
Can I say, I just wanted to say that I get why you're asking this line of question. I just don't see it being asked to men a lot. Like, why did you choose to be a neurosurgeon? Why don't you just, do this line of work instead? Why do you choose to be ambitious? Like, I feel like it's so directed at women. Like, why did you choose to, leave your virtuous woman duties and pursue a career? But I really don't see that asked to men, and I understand why. I understand there's traditional duties assigned to men and women, but societies change, and I don't understand why we still have to go through this line of questioning.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the current state of things is completely unsustainable. People ask me all the time, what do you think is going to happen? How do we battle feminism? How do we battle the problems in modernity that we have with falling birth rates and broken families, high divorce rates, and people not even bothering to get married anymore, and nobody having babies? What should we do, Rach? How do we fix this? And I'm like, it's a self-correcting problem, because this situation is totally unsustainable. The future if everybody turns out, if all the young women are raised like you girls and they have your mentality, and this is not a dig at any one of you individually, because I understand exactly the world you were raised in, the propaganda you were raised with, everything from pop music to movies to every TV show you've ever watched tells you you need to be a strong, independent woman and have a career and follow your dreams and all that stuff. I get it. But the future, if everybody follows your path, is there is no future. There's no world, because there's no people, there's nobody to keep the lights on, and humanity dies out. And the reason why, when you say, why do we have to endure this line of questioning, it's because only one of us can have the babies. The men can't have the babies. They can't gestate a child for 9 months and birth it and nurse it and raise it. And we need the men to be making the world livable for the only people who can do that, which is women. So all of the other jobs, all the careers we've talked about, those careers exist to support one occupation, one purpose, which is being a mother. The world around you, the reason it's built is so that future generations can be born. That's the only reason for it. What good is a world full of technology and robots and Wi-Fi and electricity if no one's going to be born into it, if we're having like one child per woman? In fact, in the United States, we have rising mortality rates for the first time since the Industrial Revolution. We're the only developed nation in the world that has rising mortality rates, meaning more women are dying in childbirth than years past. It's on the rise. Why would that be? Anybody take a guess as to why mothers would be dying more in childbirth in America now than they were the last like 60, 70 years?
They start having babies later on in their life.
You got it. That's exactly right. The rising maternal age is the reason for that. So having babies when you're 35 plus is a lot riskier. It's a lot riskier to the mom, it's riskier to the child. And what happens when we train women to do education and career first and then think about family when they're in their 30s, 40s, you maybe get 1 to 2 children. That's it. So I understand on an individual level, you might be annoyed and be like, well, but my dream of, whatever you wanted to do, I think you said some kind of healthcare related field. I mean, that's cool and everything, but you won't have a world. There won't be a world left for you to do anything in if we don't have kids. So I've asked this question before, but I want to ask you guys going around. If it was the case that you had a choice, you could either do what you want with your life, you could follow your dreams and have a career, and if you do that, if all of you did that, the human race dies out in 300 years from now. Or if all of you decide, okay, we're gonna have children and be moms, but you don't get to chase your personal dreams and your career goals and your material ambitions, but the human race gets to survive, which would you pick?
Personally, I would choose my career just because I don't want children. And although that doesn't really matter to this exact question, I think that we're all gonna die at some point. And I mean, if you're not living your life for you, then what are you living it for? I mean, I don't know. That's my personal opinion, though. Everybody else could be different.
All right. What about number 2?
Well, you said something earlier about how like it's mainly men who are doing the engineering and like the lighting and stuff, but I'm currently in engineering, and there's been like a lot of women in engineering too, and this might be like a sidetrack, but what would happen like to those women who are chasing after that degree? Would they just not achieve it then?
Yeah, so in the hypothetical scenario I just laid out, I'm just asking you personally, if they came to you and they said, look, ladies, we're recruiting moms because otherwise we're projecting that humanity's gonna die out in 300 years. So we're asking you, please stay home and have children, but I mean, we're gonna let you choose your career if that's what you wanna do, but if you do that, if most of you do that, we only got about 300 years left before humanity dies out. What would you choose? And I'll answer the question about what would happen to the other women in a minute.
I would stay home and take care of my children.
Okay, what about number 3?
I don't know. I feel like that's a really, really tough thing to decide on, but I feel like, okay, can I ask you a question? And then, depending on your answer, do you think it's smarter for women to have their kids and then once they hit 18, then start a life? Or do you think a woman's life should just be raising her kids?
I think we give women bad advice because we tell them to do everything backwards. I think it's inverted. So I think you should spend your early adulthood finding a good husband and having your family. And once your kids get older, say your youngest is like 10 or 12, you can start making moves toward, okay, maybe I want to do this, once they're out of school, maybe once they're all grown up and moved out, maybe I want to do this occupation or I want to go to college for this. Yeah, you can start like going part-time to college, paying it a piece at a time. You can start preparing yourself for other things because there's a lot of life after. I'm 44 years old. My oldest two are in their 20s and moved out. The youngest two are still at home. And so I can do some stuff like this, now I have a book that I wrote and I can come on and talk to you guys. I can do some more fun things. But I put in, about 18 years of child raising before I really got to that. And everybody told me I was doing it wrong. They were like, it's such a shame. Your life's gonna turn out horrible. You're making the wrong choice. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna wish that you had your own money and your own job and blah, 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 blah. That's not how it turned out for me. And I think that all women could do it that way. And they did. Like, we have a lot of incorrect ideas about what life was like for women before feminism. They weren't all chained to stove and not allowed to leave the house and all that shit. That's all baloney. But what I'm trying to get at here is, like, each of you, when we talk about which choice you'd make, like the career or the babies, we've asked this before, and I'll let you keep going around, but usually it ends up being, well, I'm gonna do what makes me happy. And if humanity dies, it dies. But men don't ever even really get that choice. Men don't ever even contemplate that. Men are like, well, the world needs to be built. Men don't get value just from being cute. Like, you guys could do nothing. You could just sit there and every word that comes out of your mouth can be absolutely R-worded, and you can be total airheads and be totally good for nothing. And as long as you're cute, some man is gonna love you and pay your bills and give you whatever you want and do whatever he needs to do to make you happy. Men don't have that. Men have to provide value or nobody gives a shit about them. And even when they do provide value, people still don't give a shit about them. Men have always been expendable. They're always going to be expendable, according to the world. That's just how it is. So men know, like, well, if the concrete needs to be laid, I'm gonna lay the concrete. If the power lines are down, I'm gonna go outside and like figure out how to get them back up. Men don't have this idea that there's no duty for them and that their life is just about them and what they want to pursue. It's just not like how the male mindset works. And the way we raise women now, it didn't used to be that way. But the way we raise it now, most young women have like, if I asked you what's a duty you have to the world outside yourself, I doubt you'd have anything for me. But if anybody does, please let me know. Does anybody here think they have a duty to society outside of themselves?
Isn't it to birth kids and take care of them to produce more, like to grow the humanity or whatever?
I would say, that's what I would say. I'd say we have a duty to continue the human race. But in times past, when I've asked girls on this panel that question, they all say no. They say, I don't have a duty to have kids. You can't tell me I gotta have kids. Chair one said she doesn't really want kids. The girl over here in the green top said she probably doesn't want kids. How many of you want kids? Okay, a few of you do, and several of you don't. So, I mean, that would be great if women were doing their duty, but they're not. The average American woman's having like 1.8 kids. And childlessness will reach an all-time unprecedented high within the next 7 years. The majority of women of fertile age will not have children and will just be working in the future. And that's a huge problem. And I think that it's a big mistake to raise women and train them to have this mindset that, well, it's just about me and what I want. It's about me and my dreams. And it's about, like, don't you think that that's probably like a bad idea? Anybody?
I think it might be a little unfair to put this extreme ultimatum on us that, like, I get it, what you're saying, the population has to go on. I just don't want to like put this question on me that like, oh, I'm not doing my part in saving humanity. I don't know.
We might not want to, but that's reality. And so what if what if we had a panel of men and they were all like, Yeah, what I really want to do, I want to start my World of Warcraft guild. I'm just really passionate about Warcraft, and I really don't feel like I should have to get up and go to work and run things. I just really don't feel like, I know the water treatment plants need somebody to like provide clean drinking water, but what about me and my dreams? What about me and my goals? Do you think that society would be like, well, that's okay, George, don't worry about it. Just concentrate on your Warcraft guild. And if people start dying from, untreated drinking water, fuck them. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's fine to sit there and say, well, I don't think this is fair to me, but that's completely delusional. That's not reality. Life isn't fair. Where did you get this idea that like you should just be able to do what you want and it's all about you?
I agree with that statement. Life isn't fair. I want to do what I want. If that involves being selfish and, signing away humanity, so be it.
Okay, so why should a man marry you then? What? If that's your mindset, if that's your attitude, why would any man on this planet ever marry you? Any guy who ever dates you should watch this podcast.
Wait,
and hear what you just said.
Before you give Rachel the answer, can you just repeat that one more time, just the way you said it?
What?
Something about, well, I'm selfish, and if humanity has to wither away so I can get what I want, so
I'm so selfish for pursuing a nursing degree, wanting to help others. I'm very selfish, and if I want to sign away humanity, so be it.
If the entailment is that humanity ceases to exist, but you get what you want, fair trade-off?
Sure.
And like I said, you can do that. It's a free country.
It's a free country.
But if I were any man who was going to date you, I would hear you say that, and I would be like, nope, because this chick is not going to be loyal. She's not going to think about me. She's going to put herself first. She doesn't really care as long as she gets what she wants, and she thinks that that's fine.
You can go as far as to refer them to this podcast and put them on any future dating profile that I said this, and I literally will not give it. Like, I'm just saying that. Like, my main goal in life is not to be a stay-at-home wife or a good wife or any.
What's
for
your
that
goal?
matter of the fact, I don't want to like.
What's your goal?
If I never marry a man, then so be it. So I don't know what you are saying with the whole who wants to marry you. I don't think I ever put it out that I want to marry someone. So.
All right, so what's your goal? What's this big dream you have that's worth, humanity has to die, I never get married, I end up alone, it's fine because I have my dream. What's the dream?
I like nursing. I want to be a nurse anesthesiologist. I want to help out in the OR room and with surgeries. I know that you're asking this as a hypothetical question. I just don't really think that the entire world revolves around me and what I do. And so I don't know where you're getting this. Oh, I have to, sign away humanity and like end the world. I know, but you're putting these pretty heavy ultimatums on me.
If your mindset was the common mindset, we'd all be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just take you. Let's just say, okay, all the other women are going to have the babies, and you're the only one who decides not to. Mm-hmm. How long do you think being an OR nurse anesthesiologist is going to be fun and fulfilling for you?
For the rest of my life, as long as I want it to be, and then I'll travel. I honestly, as of right now, I'm not saying my viewpoint won't change later. I just like having kids and being a wife isn't my goal. It's not my dream. And this is America. We can say what we want and do what we want, and that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I'm saying you absolutely can. Of course, you have the option. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not suggesting that anyone pass a law that prevents you from following your dream of being an OR nurse anesthesiologist. But as someone much older than you, I'm going to tell you right now, I will be shocked. I will eat my hat if in 20 years you come back to me and you say, oh my gosh, you were so wrong, Rachel. Being an OR nurse anesthesiologist is everything I thought it would be. I love the grind. It's so much fun. It's so fulfilling for me. I'm sure I'm glad that I never got married and had a family, because now I can do this and travel. I'll just be shocked.